All right, everyone, welcome back. Alex Gorman from the stands here, joined very luckily this morning by Alex Roberts, who I think is probably one of the best up and coming Muay Thai talents out of Australia. Not just up and coming, but as well as I think is really going to lead the way for Muay Thai in Australia. But firstly, man, how you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah, just got up this morning, had the morning shower and coffee, and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, that's it. So, look, man, I want to get straight into it. And the first question I have for you is I want you to take me back to sort of how you first began your journey, in Muay Thai, if you can. Walk me back to how your journey first began.
So for me, Muay Thai was 10 years ago when I walked into Synergy Gym at the Thai boxing pit with Blair Smith and all the boys down there. So that was my first introduction to uh, structured Muay Thai. Before that, I'd obviously seen it in on the TV, on the Contender series of John Wayne Parr and things like that as a teenager, but never actually properly done anything. And then, yeah, to go into such a prestigious gym to start with was a pretty good start to the Muay Thai journey. And started off in the beginners class down there at Synergy, and at that time the gym had just opened. I think it was only open for a year or two, so classes were pretty quiet. So it was just me and Blair Smith doing one on one. So it was pretty good to have that sort of level of experience in coaching straight away. So I think that helped me progress pretty quickly. So it was only a year before I had my first fight.
Yeah, and out of curiosity, when you did sort of first walk into the gym, what was it like when you ate your first leg kick?
Oh, it was very humbling to walk in thinking I was big. I was a lot bigger as well. I think it was about 120 kilos when I walked in. I'd been to a bit of powerlifting before that, so I was a lot heavier. And to have small guys that fight at like 65 kilos, like Roy Wills, just kicking your leg off every session and just not being able to do anything about it was pretty humbling to say the least.
Yeah, I always say that I think everyone should eat at least one leg kick in their life. Just one, just at least one, just so
So
they
you
know.
know, just so you know how
Just
bad
so
it
you
can
know.
get.
Yeah, just so you know. But you know, early on in your journey, man, I wanted to know what did you struggle with most? Was it feeling comfortable in sparring? Was it, sort of just learning to put everything together? What did you sort of struggle with the most early on in your journey?
For me, I think the early on it was my mobility and the lack of movement that I had from years of lifting weights and not really doing any stretching or anything. So at the start of the journey, you're trying to throw even like a high body kick and just
Yeah.
your hips won't go that far. So had to deal with a lot of that sort of stuff from my hips and shoulders to begin with. But I'm a physio by trade, and that was one of the things that I was studying while I started fighting, and then become a qualified physio. So that's one of my areas of specialty now is getting people ready to do these things. And with my experience from getting myself through it, it's pretty handy.
Mm. And you kind of spoke about it there that you had to address some physical aspects coming in. Your flexibility, your mobility, and obviously the physical aspect of Muay Thai. It's a huge part of it. Of course, you have to have your conditioning on point, nutrition. Your training has to be on point. But obviously, with fighting, your mental approach is such a big part of it as well. I was curious, from your early days to now, how do you sort of keep your mind, mentally sharp? How do you sort of mentally stay the course, in the fight game, which is, it's a brutal game. There's a lot of up and downs in it.
Well, when I was younger, I especially did a lot of reading about mentality and mindset. There's some great books by like Carol Dweck called Mindset and Grit, and the ability to just force forward. So I've always had a lot of self confidence and belief in myself that I could do anything that I put my mind to and that I work hard towards. So basically using those principles of discipline. So to make sure that it's all about discipline and not motivation. It's you go there, you do the work, and the results show for themselves. And I think they say it takes 10,000 hours to be a master at anything,
Yeah.
or 10 years usually. So I've been grinding away for 10 years. Even when I was at uni and I didn't have the time to fight, I was always in the gym. I was always learning and getting better, and that's why I don't think I've had as many fights as most people would have had in 10 years. But I've still gotten better every single time.
For sure. When you were coming up, were there any particular Muay Thai fighters that you were trying to, emulate, or were you more just sort of focused developing your own approach, your own style, not so much base your game off someone else?
Coming up, I really watched a lot of Nathan Carnage Corbett here and Steve McKinnon. Like those two guys are pretty inspirational for me because they were both two Australian heavyweights. They were both guys that fought at sort of 95 kilos plus and led the way for Australian heavyweights in Muay Thai. And kind of just a beautiful elbow style and Steve McKinnon's kicks and that. So try to combine a little bit of everything in there, and I always try to throw my carnage elbows with 100% intention. And
Yeah.
they were pretty inspirational. And then when you got guys in the gym like Toby Smith that you're learning from, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing with Muay Thai is that particularly over the last 5 years, it's really started to grow, particularly with Western audiences. And I think that's a lot through the work of One Championship. With the sort of money and the attention that they've been putting into Muay Thai. But I'm curious, from your perspective, what do you think is needed to really bring Muay Thai to the next level in Australia, where your more sort of casual fight fans walking down the street are going to know who the big names are, other than just, Sanchai.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with One Championship leading the way. It just needs that exposure. We just need more Australian athletes on the world stage, and I think we just need a little bit more media coverage because uh, we've had multiple West Australians even win world titles, and you don't see anything in the paper about it. You don't hear about them on any of the on the newsstands. Um, until I got this opportunity, but I don't think not many people knew about my world title win a
Mm.
couple of weeks back against Lyndon. So I think we just need to get a little bit more exposure through the regular media so kind of people talk about it a bit more. And then having such massive organizations like One out there, a great way now to start showing Muay Thai to the masses.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious, obviously, now you're at obviously a much, much higher level than when you first started, but I'm curious, what has been the biggest change in your training, from your early days to now? Obviously, it's gotten harder, more intense, better training partners, all that. But what's sort of been the biggest change? Are you more focused on fine tuning your skills? Are you still adding new skills to your skill set? What sort of changed the most for you in your training?
Starting now, the biggest change would be definitely managing the body. I started at 24, so now I'm 34, so I'm a little bit older than a lot of people. A lot of people have retired by now. My coach Roy, who was originally a fighter with me, now is my coach, and he's younger than me. So getting to learn from people younger, it's great. And now I've really learned to manage my body and pay attention to those niggles because any one training session is not going to take you that much further forward. But one training session, if you get injured or you do something dumb, can take you
Mm.
back months and months and months of progress because you've got to rehab an injury or do something like that. So training a lot smarter these days is a massive factor with my success because I can always be in the gym because I'm always managing myself that way. And then definitely now having high level sparring partners. So I've got some great guys that are up and coming as well, like Ashby Tink and Vincent from Gav's gym that come down and spar with me. And having such high level guys to work with and grow together really gives you a leg up.
Yeah, definitely. And look, Alex, last couple of questions from us, man. We don't want to keep you too long. It's a very lovely Saturday morning, so we're not going to keep you too long. But obviously you've got this fight with Roman Kryklia coming up, and I wanted to know, what is sort of your prediction for how that fight is going to go? Do you see yourself having a dominant finish early on, or do you see it being a bit more of a war?
I'm going for the dominant finish, definitely. I want to get in there. I want to start swinging, but Roman's tough as nails. He's got great heart. He's been hurt and come back before, so I'm going to be hunting that finish, but I have a feeling it was going to be one of those 5 round wars that could just could go that way. It's he's a tough guy, I'm a tough guy, and we both love to fight. And he's a great champion, and he's someone that's going to put up an amazing fight, and I'm there every day of the week to absolutely go until my last breath. So I think it's going to be an absolute banger, and I think it's exactly what they want to show the world of Muay Thai. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I know I'm really excited to see that one. And the last question I have, man, is you said earlier, you've always been sort of very confident in yourself, had a lot of self belief, but I wanted to know, what is something that Muay Thai has given you that you've been able to apply to your life outside of the sport? Whether it's a mental approach, a mental edge, how you sort of approach problems, but what's something that Muay Thai has given you that you can apply to your life outside of it?
Muay Thai is my life now. But the Muay Thai has given me an amazing calmness and ability to control myself through the sport and through the discipline required and sparring and learning to take shots without becoming emotional and to really evaluate things and slow things down in your head. I think Muay Thai has really helped me in that respect because when I was a young man, he was a lot more wild and having the discipline and having just the knowledge in your head that I'm pretty confident myself that I could take anyone these days, and having that, it gives you a lot of self belief and a lot of confidence,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
transitioning that into everything else that I do, just knowing that if I want to do something, I can. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Look, Alex, thank you very much for joining us today, man. We really appreciate it, especially on a Saturday morning. It's not always the easiest time, but we really appreciate it, man. Wishing you all the best in your preparation for that fight with Roman Kryklia. I know that we're going to be tuning in, and I know that the Australian Muay Thai fans are going to be really tuning in for that one, man. And we'd love to talk to you again in future.
yeah, awesome. I'll be back here in a few weeks, and we'll do it again with the belt.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Alex.
Awesome. Cheers, that one.